to another episode of Prescription for Life. My name is Linda Golick. I'm the Health and Wellbeing Consultant at Amplify Health by Bellin, and I am so pleased to have another amazing guest with us today. You guys are in for a treat. Today we are talking to Sarah Rosenberg. Hi, Sarah.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good, good. So super excited to talk to Sarah today. So our Lifesaver content for this campaign is called Escape from Reality. And we're really looking at how do people manage, how do people cope, and what's healthy, what's not healthy, what's going on in our brains, all of these things that we deal with. And we really wanted to highlight a story that was inspirational and could really share something that I think we all need to be talking about. And so Sarah is our Lifesaver story today. So Sarah, why don't you just start by talking a little bit about yourself? And we're highlighting you today because you have shared that you've been on a sobriety journey. And I think that's super impressive and just really something for people to learn from. So why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself, that journey, what took you down that path? What motivated you to really make that change?
Yeah, absolutely. So going back is in February, I hit 11 years sober. And so going back 11 years ago, I was 29 years old and I was living a completely different life than I live now. And it was like the cycle of insanity. So I was drinking and using drugs, and I could not manage life on life's terms, like whatsoever. I struggled with depression, anxiety, suicidal thoughts. Just, it was just not a healthy lifestyle. I could not manage to live on my own. So at 29 years old, I moved back into my parents' house for the numerous time and over the years. And it was just everything. Every job that I worked, I was never getting a promotion. I was never able to pay off the bills. I was never able to lose the weight. I was never able to, quit drinking or quit smoking. And I came to a point that all of a sudden I was just like, I want off of this ride. My life felt like I was living in a flip book and pages were missing from it. So it was going by so fast. And then all of a sudden I just wouldn't even remember like days. And it was like those pages were just missing. Sometimes it would come back to me like after like a thought, some things would kind of creep back in. But through that, I was then dealing with guilt and shame and embarrassment of my actions when I was living my life this way. It's not exactly super exciting to be telling people that you're 29 years old and you move back into your parents' house, or having a bill collector call, or, having to face friends and family that way. So one morning I literally woke up laying on my futon at my parents' house, and my purse was dumped out on the floor next to me, and I just lay there and I thought, there's got to be more to life than this. I don't know what I'm doing. And I laid there and I took out my phone and I Googled, what is an alcoholic? I have no idea. I don't know what to do. So I Googled it and I aced the test. I got them all right. And I thought, okay, I recognize now that I have a problem. What do I do about it? Like, I can't get off this ride like by myself. I just can't. And I had remembered that years prior, I had met a woman that had told me about her journey. And she told me what she did and what works for her. And so I had reached out to her and I just said, I have a problem and I don't know what to do. I can't stop. Like, I need help. And she said, hey, can you, meet me at my house tonight? And I'm going to bring you to a 12-step meeting. And I stayed. Wow. I just went, I listened to suggestions and got a sponsor, and I worked the steps. And there's so much work that goes into it. I've attended numerous different types of 12-step programs and group therapies, and it works as much as you are willing to work it. So always being like thirsty for that recovery, like always being willing to never quit quitting, so it's like there's always going to be something that you can work on to better yourself. And that is, where things pretty much like left off.
So in just reflecting back, to that time before you had quit drinking, were you in a state of awareness that it was an unhealthy coping mechanism, or did it just feel like for you that was just your pathway, like that was just what you needed, to cope with whatever was going on in life?
Yeah, so I feel that it was a couple different things I remember feeling. That I remember in the beginning when it was like I noticed it was just like, this is my life now kind of a situation, that it's also the easy excuse of we live in Wisconsin, and it's just so common and it's just so easy, and everywhere you go, it's actually asked, like, do you want to drink? And if you say no, they say, why are you pregnant? Why are you on a medication? Like, why can't it be that I just don't drink? Like, why is that's, I just was always baffled by that. And then like looking back, I remember like towards the end of realizing, okay, this is extremely unhealthy. Like I literally cannot stop. My life choices are a disaster. And just having to get off that ride.
Yeah. And I'm so appreciative that you brought that up, because that's part of us bringing awareness to this topic, is that just because something may be socially acceptable or something isn't illegal, and you're using it as a coping mechanism, doesn't mean that it's not unhealthy for you. Mm-hmm. And I just heard this at a conference that alcohol is a known depressant, and it's a neurotoxin. So it's activating, parts of your brain in a not good way. And like you talked about with the anxiety and depression, and some of that is really connected. And so that's really why we wanted to also bring awareness to this topic. So what has changed for you? So, I mean, what does it look like now? I mean, you've had to really switch your coping mechanisms, because if that was the coping mechanism that you had relied on, and then all of a sudden that's gone, what did that look like for you to transition to different coping mechanisms, and what does it look like today?
Yeah, it was scary. I'm not gonna lie, very scary, because I coped in a way that I would drink being out with people and loud music, and all of a sudden I had to turn the music off, and I had to sit there and not put anything into my body to numb that feeling or to escape that. So definitely by working the 12 steps definitely help you like pinpoint and go through all the steps. But there's still times that you are sitting home by yourself, and having to figure things out, and go down that alleyway of, okay, like you are always a choice away of what direction are you going to go. And sometimes you think, I don't want to deal with this anymore. I just want to go back and like, I just want to drink. But then you think, but do I really want to throw everything else away? Like, do I really want to backtrack to that and go down that other road? So really like the transitioning of figuring out, okay, I had to figure out, who am I today? What do I like? What don't I like? And not just, pass things off. So it was kind of fun. Like I took myself out on dates, right? Like I went to movies by myself. I travel by myself. There's just certain things that like I took like really like a big leap. And then I found out like, I really like myself. Like I don't need anybody or anything like to make me feel good. Like I am capable of doing these things and like living this life today. You'll be happy to know I no longer live in my parents' house. I have been living on my own since then. And, and that's a huge thing for me of, obtaining my own residence and being in charge of what meal am I going to make, and having that choice and having that choice of who do I let in to my space and picking and choosing those things. So definitely like switching like the mechanisms, like over of being toxic, of being loud and having these things. Like now it's like when I'm around people for too long, it's like, I just can't wait to go home and be in quiet, you know, and like think and process of what, you know, how do I feel today? And what am I going to do tomorrow?
Yeah, that's awesome. So what does it look like today for you? Like, how do you distinguish now between maybe what's a healthy coping mechanism for you and what isn't healthy? Like, because you've obviously, you know, alcohol's off the table. That's no longer a coping mechanism. So how do you manage things today? And then how do you determine if that's helpful for you or not?
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because over the years I learned that, like ice cream, right? Like ice cream, you can go treat yourself to an ice cream, or if you had a long day and you want a treat, it's perfectly fine to go get yourself an ice cream cone. But if you're at the store buying a gallon of ice cream, it's probably not going to end well.
And you live alone.
And you live alone, it's probably not going to end well. So there are definitely like things that I've had to learn to pivot of, you know, I love coffee. You know, there are certain things though, but drinking a pot of coffee by yourself isn't always like the smart decision. And sometimes, you know, if I'm, you know, busy at work and, you know, maybe I just have an energy drink, you know, and then I'll just have a soda. Then all of a sudden I can look at it and be like, oh my gosh, I had 2 energy drinks and, you know, 3 cans of soda and a bag of Doritos today. Like, this is not healthy. Like, maybe I just need to schedule out my time. You know, maybe I need to move this to a different day when I have more time to work on it instead of putting things into my body that are unhealthy and don't need to be there. And so there's definitely just different pivoting techniques of definitely being well aware of what is going on. And I find that definitely that quiet time, that turning off the radio and sitting there or going for a walk, you know, by yourself and just thinking, like, what am I doing? Don't get me wrong. I still definitely am working the 12 steps and, you know, like I have friends in the program that know me well and, you know, we rely on each other. And so we bounce ideas, or if we're having a rough day, we can definitely go that route. But, yeah, I feel like at this point in the time where it's like, I know when something is not right. And, you know, and it's also okay, like, to say no. Like, if you are just wore out and tired and feeling, you know, like on edge, like, it's okay to cancel your plans. It's okay to make a pizza at home and close the blinds and binge watch some Netflix. Like, sometimes that's what you need. But it's like, if you're not talking to anybody after a couple days, you know, if you're not opening the shades back up, yeah, you gotta kind of be aware of that there's probably a pattern there that maybe you should, you know, talk to somebody and break.
Yeah, and that was kind of my next question is, you know, for people that are watching this, listening to this, they might be relating, they might be thinking, oh gosh, maybe what I'm doing isn't so healthy. What would be your advice for them? What would you tell them to do as they're kind of recognizing, like, maybe this isn't so great?
Yeah, I would definitely take a look at the cycle, because only you are the one that can tell yourself that you have a problem, and it doesn't matter what it is. It could be food, it could be TV, it could be just anything, shopping addiction, you know, like there's just so many different things out there. But so many times that I've learned too is that when I am struggling with something, is that a craving usually lasts, I think it's like 5 to 10 minutes, or like that thought process that, like, I really want this, right? So whether it's putting something in your shopping cart, or I really want more, you know, ice cream, whatever it is, maybe take that 5-10 minutes, either call somebody, go for a walk, you know, like, do something else. Puzzles are great.
Puzzles are great. We love puzzles.
We love puzzles. And, you know, and it's like, do something else to take your mind off of that. Go drink some water. Water helps. And so you can do these things that will totally, you know, like, transform that. Easy is something, you know, like, as easy as like doing a gratitude list. Doing a gratitude list of just jotting something down, go to journaling, going to something else. You know, there's all sorts of different support groups out there, you know, too. It's like, nobody's going to judge you by walking in the door, by going to this thing. We've all been there. And, you know, you can just go and listen. You don't have to say anything. Just sit in the corner if you want. But yeah, there's definitely all sorts of help out there, and it's free.
So one of the things that I've been privileged to know you for a number of years now because she's kind of my favorite cousin on my husband's side. The other cousins are listening. I'm so sorry. You're my favorite too. But I've been able to watch the transformation and to watch you just totally flourish into this beautiful, beautiful life that you have now. So I'm just wondering, like, from your perspective, like, what's the best thing now? You know, now that you can look back and you can see where you came from and how different life is for you, you know, without alcohol. What's it like from your perspective? Like, what are the best parts?
Oh my gosh, there are so many. So waking up without headaches, waking up with money, and not wondering where my money went, or being able to understand receipts that I scribbled on. Just like the will, like, to live, like going out and living life. I've started just traveling a lot and meeting all sorts of people and experiencing new things, and like sitting at home at night, or just sitting at home at any point in time with, you know, like a cup of tea, and it's quiet, and not feeling like I need to run away. Like that was always like a big thing, is like, I can't sit still because, you know, once you sit still too long, like those thoughts start coming. And like the anxiety and depression really starts sitting in. And so now, like, just sitting there in that quietness, I was like, oh, it feels so good. You know, it just feels like, you know what, I've done the best I can today. And now it's just really a dream. Like, the world is my oyster, and I can crack it open and just go. Yeah. And not have to worry about it.
That's so cool. That's so cool. And I love that you have found that. And I love that you recognize that you have found it. And I mean, that's really what these segments are about, is highlighting people's stories, that their experiences and their strength and resilience and what it has brought them to today. And you are a lifesaver. People are looking to you and being inspired by you and learning from you. And that's going to go on through this podcast and through your presence and everything that you do. So it's just such an inspiration to watch. So anything else that you didn't get to share today? Anything else you want to tell our audience today?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing to remember is that, like, no matter where you are in life, life is going to happen. Life is going to be hard. And you don't have to go back to that life. Like, there's always options out there. It does not matter what the problem is. It doesn't matter. You don't have to go back to that. And going forward, you know, it's like you go through losing friends and family members and, you know, cancer diagnostics, and, you know, there's going to be a little bit of everything, you know, that's going to happen. You're going to lose a job. You're going to get a promotion. It's not always going to be sunshine and rainbows. But this life is still way better than the life that I had. And you know what? My friends are there for me. You know, my family's there for me. I can call and cry, and, you know, we can be there together and get through it. Everything is figure-outable.
Yes. Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
That's a good phrase. I'm so going to use that.
Yeah, it really is.
So good.
Everything is figure-outable. Yeah. It is.
Yeah. Just one more day, right?
It sure is.
One more day. Well, Sarah, thank you for taking the time and coming in and sharing your story. I can't wait to see what the response is, because I think you're going to touch a lot of people, and your story is going to resonate with a lot of people. And we just encourage you, please share this podcast with somebody that you think may need to hear it. And please like and subscribe. And we hope to see you next time. Thanks for joining us.